Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're journeying back to the Middle Ages, not to talk about epic battles or grim plagues, but to explore the world of poetry, music, and courtly love. We're diving into the vibrant culture of the Troubadours. So who were these troubadours? Imagine a world where knights were more than just warriors and ladies were more than just damsels in distress. This was the world of the troubadours, poet-composers who flourished in the high Middle Ages, primarily from the 11th to the 13th centuries. Their heartland was Occitania, a region that today covers southern France, but their influence spread far and wide, reaching Italy, Spain, and even England. They weren't just wandering minstrels playing for a few coins. Many troubadours were nobles, even powerful figures like dukes and kings. One of the very first known troubadours was William IX, the Duke of Aquitaine. Yes, a powerful ruler who was also a celebrated poet. This tells us something crucial. Poetry and music were highly respected arts, central to court life. Of course, there were also troubadours from more humble backgrounds, but they all shared a common passion for trouba, which in the Old Occitan language means to find or to invent. They were inventors of art. Their main theme, the one they are most famous for, was fin amours, or what we often call courtly love. Now, courtly love is a fascinating and complex concept. It wasn't just a simple crush. It was a whole code of conduct, a kind of love service. Typically, the poet, the troubadour, would express his undying devotion to a noble lady who was often of a higher social standing and usually already married. This love was meant to be ennobling. It was a love that was supposed to make the man better, more chivalrous, more virtuous, more courageous. The love was often secret and unrequited. The troubadour would sing of his lady's beauty, her virtue, and the pain of his longing. He would refer to her with a secret code name, a senhal, to protect her identity. This created a delicious tension in the poetry, a mix of joy and suffering, hope and despair. Was this love ever consummated? Historians debate this endlessly. For the most part, it seems to have been an idealized, spiritual connection rather than a physical one. It was a game of love played out in poetry and song, a way to explore deep emotions within the strict social structures of the time. But let's not make the mistake of thinking all their songs were about pining away for an unattainable lady. The troubadours were incredibly versatile. They wrote about all sorts of things. There was the canso, the classic love song, but there were also other genres. For example, the sirvente was a political or satirical song. Troubadours would use the sirvente to comment on current events, criticize powerful figures, or even call people to a crusade. They were the political commentators of their day, using wit and sharp rhymes to make their point. Then you had the tenso, which was a debate song between two poets. They would argue back and forth on a topic, often about the nature of love, but it could be anything. It was like a medieval rap battle, a contest of cleverness and poetic skill. Another popular form was the alba, or dawn song. This one was a bit more dramatic. It depicts two lovers who have spent the night together and are being warned by a watchman that dawn is breaking and they must part to avoid being discovered. It's full of tension and the sorrow of parting. And we can't forget the pastorela, a charming genre where a knight tries to woo a shepherdess. These songs often had a lighter, more playful tone and explored the class differences between the knight and the common girl. So, as you can see, the world of the troubadours was rich and varied, covering everything from the most sublime spiritual love to biting political satire and playful romantic encounters. Now, what about the music? Unfortunately, this is where things get a bit tricky for us. While we have thousands of troubadour poems, only about a tenth of them have survived with their musical notation. And even then, the notation is very basic. It tells us the melody, the sequence of notes, but it doesn't tell us about the rhythm or the instrumentation. How fast should it be played? What instruments should accompany the singer? A lute? A vielle, which is a kind of medieval fiddle? A flute? This means that modern performances of troubadour music are always interpretations. Musicians and scholars have to make educated guesses based on what we know about medieval music in general. It's like having the lyrics and the basic tune of a modern pop song, but no idea if it's a rock anthem or a slow ballad. This is why when you listen to different recordings of the same Troubadour song, they can sound completely different. It's a creative puzzle that continues to fascinate musicians today. One of the most remarkable things about the Troubadour movement is the presence of female troubadours, known as Troubadours. This was highly unusual for the time. In a society where women's public voices were heavily restricted, these noble women were composing and performing their own poetry. We know the names of about 20 Troubadours, like the famous Comtessa de Dia or Countess of Dia. Their work gives us a rare and precious glimpse into the female perspective on love and courtly life. While the male troubadours often placed the lady on an abstract pedestal, the Troubadours wrote with a striking directness and emotional honesty. The Comtessa de Dia, in her famous song A chantar merdeço que no volria, I must sing of that which I would rather not, laments her lover's coldness and defends her own worth and passion. It's powerful, personal, and it completely shatters the stereotype of the silent, passive medieval lady. The Troubadours were pioneers, claiming their own artistic voice in a man's world. So, what happened to this incredible cultural movement? Why did the golden age of the Troubadours come to an end? The decline began in the early 13th century, and the main cause was a brutal conflict known as the Albigensian Crusade. This crusade was launched by the Pope and the French king, not against a foreign enemy, but against the Cathars, a Christian sect in the southern France, the heartland of the Troubadours. The resulting war was devastating. It ravaged the lands of Occitania, destroyed its vibrant courtly culture, and scattered the patrons who had supported the Troubadours. The tolerant and sophisticated courts, where poetry had flourished, were replaced by a much harsher, less welcoming regime under northern French control. The Occitan language itself began to decline in prestige. Many troubadours fled to other parts of Europe, like Spain and Italy, taking their art with them. But the original flame in southern France had been extinguished. However, the legacy of the troubadours is immense. They didn't just disappear without a trace. Their influence is everywhere in Western literature and music. When they fled, they spread their ideas about love, poetry, and song. In Italy, their work directly inspired a new generation of poets, including the great Dante Alighieri and Petrarch. Dante himself paid tribute to the troubadour Arnaud Daniel in his Divine Comedy, calling him the better smith of the mother tongue. The whole concept of the idealized, unattainable woman in later love poetry, like Dante's Beatrice or Petrarch's Laura, owes a huge debt to the troubadours' fin amours. The troubadour tradition also influenced the trouvère of northern France and the Minnesinger in Germany, who adapted the themes of courtly love into their own languages and cultures. In a way, the troubadours wrote the first chapter in the book of modern European love poetry. They were the first to make vernacular language, the language of the people, not Latin, a worthy vehicle for high art. They elevated the status of the poet and explored the inner world of human emotion with a new depth and sophistication. So the next time you hear a love song on the radio with its themes of longing, devotion, and heartache, take a moment to remember the troubadours. They were the ones who, centuries ago, in the sun-drenched courts of southern France, first crafted this language of love that we still speak today. They were poets, musicians, social commentators, and cultural pioneers whose voices against all odds still echo through time. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of the troubadours. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into history and culture. Let me know in the comments which historical topic you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.